Is Drake scared of Kendrick? Let me get my direct question.
Yes.
So Drake bots his music. That's what you're trying to say.
I'm 100% sure he does.
You're 100% sure.
How Drake telling y'all other niggas bot? Y'all trying to get at Drake because y'all think he bot? Come on, man.
Lobries and gentlegrams, in today's episode of the Akadidler, drooling and dangling on the donuts of the drizzler, a man whose name is synonymous with scholar, but his real definition is antonymous with smaller. If you didn't get that, don't even bother, but behold the breakdown of Snackadidler as he clobbers on Lobry's collar. We've heard the Henny Hogger holler on streams in his mother's basement while he fiends Drake engagement, glazing and rage baiting, such door-dashing derangement. He's making it way worse for Lobry's reputation, so down we will break it. Stay tuned for all the amazement, and while you're at it, stomp on the like and subscribe buttons.
Spicy.
And drop a comment to literally any topic you want me to react to or discuss. We'll be discussing it on that page. Make sure to subscribe. Now we're not going to waste any time, alright? I want to bring you guys back to the good old days. The days of everyday struggle. Where a young Snackadidler had less of a struggle, sitting and fitting into his clothes and his chair, while Joe Budden was losing his hair blue in the face, dressed in despair, gasping for air as he teared into academics for his takes on the current state of affairs.
I've seen your last 3 twitches with them bum ass.
You're asking me a question. I'm trying to.
Y'all not informed on what I talk about.
You do talk about people's personal lives. That's not music.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, I watch every thing you do. You want to talk about it?
Cut it. Stop.
You very rarely talk about music.
Y'all wouldn't even know I did music reviews.
What's the point? Oh, where did he find a staple gun?
Sounded like Safari 2.0.
Stop.
What I mean, Safari 2.0.
Stop. No.
You guys help me out here.
I'm telling you that because I care about you.
Everything I tell him pertains to that situation.
I'm telling you something. I care about you. Stop it.
I'm not.
Do not explain it.
No, I gotta explain.
Do not rationalize this behavior.
I'm not rationalize his behavior, but
hey, academics, I care about you.
okay. In the same way, when something happens, whatever, and
All right, we have guests, right?
No.
And you might think Snackadidler today is not very fair in the way that he critiques Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. We're gonna get to that because of course he's discussing this Iceman album, the Big Red Button that's coming up. But I want to bring you guys back to the everyday struggle days because Akademiks' opinions on hip-hop and where both Kendrick Lamar and Drake stood in that current state and time within hip-hop were very different from how he thinks today, and that's gonna play an important role in this story very shortly. So I'm gonna show you guys some clips. You're gonna love these clips. So firstly, and this is gonna be crazy, this is going to blow your minds, Snackadidler had said, this is way back in 2017, that Drake had no unilateral classic albums within the culture, alright? This is how he thought way back then.
I don't think he'll be considered classic. I'm not considering that Drake has any unilateral classics that would be seen by the culture.
Hey, academics, I care about you.
And just remember that it's going to play an important role very shortly. And you might be thinking, okay, that's what he thinks about Drake. What did he think about Kendrick Lamar back then? Well, this is going to blow your mind even more, alright? He said that Kendrick Lamar has never put out a non-classic album. He said every album in Kendrick's catalog is a classic, and he actually specifically named To Pimp a Butterfly as having his favorite rapping from Kendrick Lamar.
I think all these are classic. His shit is amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
wait, what's
again,
the 3 you count?
To Pimp a Butterfly.
As a classic album?
Yeah, actually, I think the rapping on To Pimp a Butterfly is better than Good Kid, Mad City. The songs on Good Kid, Mad City, and some of the concepts that he kind of get into, and also it's a first look on a big scale, so like we see it differently. But if we just going by rapping, I think some of his best rapping in his career, like if we're just talking about the 3 albums, was on To Pimp a Butterfly. And that's why I think it's not that easily digestible. Nick was really rapping, trying to explain some.
And okay, so way back then, academics didn't think Drake had any classics. He thought all of Kendrick's albums were classics, but when it came to a rap battle, Drake was his favorite rapper, right? Surely he would think that Drake would not be scared of the challenge, that he would in fact win the challenge, right? Well, Snackadiddler in fact thought that Drake was terrified, shaking in his boots over the thought of King Kung Fu Kenny Lamar, the big stepper, stepping on Lobry's Canadian casket.
I felt he really said to Drake and Big Sean, and he said with these lines, he says, gotta lay something down if you making threats, gotta say something now, don't hold your breath. And with him saying that to me, he was saying, listen, if y'all got a problem with all these claims I'm making, say something right now.
Is Drake scared of Kendrick? Let me get my direct question.
Yes.
And okay, so Academics thinks that Drake was scared of Kendrick. He thinks Drake has no classics. He thought every Kendrick album was classics, but he still loves Drake, right? Today he says Drake is the greatest of all time, but back then in 2017, did he think the same way? Well, no, actually he didn't. No, he did not. In fact, he thought that you cannot be the greatest if you have a ghostwriter.
I think we gonna agree with the first part of this. We all agree what he's saying. I mean, if you are the greatest, you shouldn't have a ghostwriter, someone paying your bars.
So it's obvious that when Snackademics graduated from the everyday struggle stage and went back into his mother's basement to do these live streams every night, the Henny kind of rewired his brain, right? And now he has a whole different line of thinking. The game has changed. Drake made his way onto the top of Academics' meat riding militia, and we know what happened with Drake over the last week. Drake suffered probably the worst L he's ever taken in his entire career. The judge
studies rap battles for a living.
There's no coming back from this. I mean, the entire world now perceives you as a courthouse Karen who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to try and compromise free speech because you got your feelings hurt in a rap battle. And of course, you then lose the lawsuit. So now you're on damage control, but you yourself can't say anything, right? Like Drake can't come out and be like, hey guys, sorry for, suing over a rap battle. That was wrong of me. I apologize. No, Drake can't say that.
I study
suing over
rap battles for a living.
So instead, conveniently, he now has his little Big Mac minion, Snackadiddler, his little mouthpiece, come out and try to excite the fans for what's to come, right? Now, there's been a long history over the last few years, really ever since just about a year or two after Academics did leave Everyday Struggle, where somehow he's become Drake's mouthpiece. Years ago, Drake was kicking him off of live streams.
Yo, do a shot right now. I need to see you do a triple shot right now for the people.
I'm gonna get a cup. Triple shot.
I want to see you, I want to see you fry your yacht right now. For all the times that me and you've been through, I need to see you score the craziest shot right now. For the people.
Nowadays, Snackadiddler gets on his own live stream and somehow gets all the exclusive Drake news, even when sometimes Drake is straight up lying to him. We'll touch on that later in this video, but he's somehow the one reporting on whatever Drake has going on, trying to give exclusive information, and basically do damage control for Drake's brand. But if anything, it's only made Drake look worse ever since Academics has been speaking for him, and today is no different. We're gonna touch on it all. So let's look at the fact. Remember again, Lawbreeze and Gentlegrams, Academics years ago said that Drake has no classic albums, right? Well, keep in mind, for months now, he's been saying that he hasn't spoken to Drake about getting any unreleased Iceman music, getting any secret info. He wants to experience this like a fan, right? Get the real fan experience without the behind the scenes information kind of clouding his judgment. Well, it looks like that didn't happen because he tweeted out today, just got the word. Iceman finna be a classic. Holy. Now remember, a couple years ago, Academics was saying that Drake has no classics, right? Now he's saying Iceman is gonna be a classic. What is it gonna be, his first classic ever? He's gonna release it this late into his career. The same Drake who gave us Meet Your Padre and The Heart Part 6 is now gonna give us a classic this late in his career. Well, Academics had changed up his tune a little bit because someone replied to him saying Drake will never have a classic album, to which Academics replied with the egregious delusional statement saying, Drake got 6 classics at minimum. Sorry, bro, he did a three-peat after Take Care. Nothing was the same if you're reading this, and of course, Take Care. Y'all can figure out the rest of the classics. It might be 8 classic albums, but we'll let the people debate. Now, this is just disgusting, guys, alright? Disgusting flip-flopping. Because what happened to Drake had no classic albums. Now, all of a sudden, everything's a classic because it fits the narrative, right? Well, you guys want to call me biased? I'll unbias myself, alright? We'll actually show Drake some love. I do think, if you're talking classics of the 2010s, I think Take Care could be up there. I think If You're Reading This Is Too Late could be up there as well. However, we do have to salute Quentin Miller and The Weeknd for making those projects the classics that they are.
Spicy.
Now, when it comes to Akademiks, you could see the bias here, right? If he's not being paid off by Drake, there is some sort of massive incentive he has to keep this narrative pushing. That Drake is still this beloved figure within hip-hop. He's trying to rewrite history, literally his own history, and erase the claim that Drake has no classics to now paint the narrative that Drake has damn near 8 classics. And you might think that Akademiks is helping Drake by, you know, spreading these positive messages about him, but for many reasons which we'll touch on in this video, Akademiks is actually really hurting Drake, and may have even exposed him, and it may lead to them actually being investigated, alright? There's more botting rumors on the way, so stick till the end of this video because there's a lot to unpack here. So Joe Budden predicted a lot of this about a year ago when Akademiks had this anonymous guy on his stream who the anonymous guy basically claimed that Kendrick's team had paid him to use a bunch of bots on Not Like Us on the week that Not Like Us had released. And if you guys didn't know, Drake actually used that in his lawsuit as an actual source, even though the guy was caught lying because he showed a screenshot of an LLC that had transferred him the money for the bots, which was under Anthony Soleil, but that LLC never actually existed. So this guy was just caught with his pants down lying. Drake actually corrected or amended the lawsuit, and in the new lawsuit draft, he actually removed that source, knowing that it was probably a bunch of cap.
Bad timing.
But as Akademiks had that guy on his stream, this was before the Not Like Us music video. This was before a lot of the big moments that we saw transpire. This was around June of 2024, so just about less than a month after all the diss songs had actually come out. And it was a very weird look that Ak was platforming this guy, right? Joe Budden had, again, predicted a lot of this, predicted that Akademiks would go on to be the mouthpiece for Drake for the next year, and that it would always come in harm's way because even though Akademiks, again, is trying to prop Drake up as the most beloved guy, the biggest guy within hip-hop, it always looks a type of way when we hear this news or we hear takes from Akademiks because we know how biased he has been towards Drake. So shout out to Chick Smooth, shout out to Joe Budden. They broke this down very well, so let's take a little look here.
Oh nah, this is evil, you guys. This is flat out just sabotaging somebody's career. This is how you know you don't want your favorite artist to actually succeed. After so many people have told DJ Akademiks, bro, please stop being Drake's mouthpiece. I know you love him. I know that's your favorite artist. I know you want to see him back on top in the music game. But at a certain point, you have to understand that what you're doing is not helping Drake. As a matter of fact, it's actually hurting Drake more than you can imagine. If you guys remember last year, Joe Budden actually spoke out and told Akademiks, stop reporting on Drake news and giving Drake fans unrealistic expectations about his music.
Ak, you gotta know that any Drake news coming from you looks away now.
Yeah, it looks suspect.
Ak is the one on stream during the NBA Finals with the hacker dude on the thing, explaining to him, showing him the invoice. He's dropping names. Like, good journalistic shit you was doing, Ak, but you gotta know that any Drake news coming from you is viewed through a different type of eye. Even if you just working off your own speculation, even if Drake didn't tell you shit, it comes off as a mission sent from Drake. And that could come off like somebody somewhere is trying to get ahead of the Not Like Us video and concert. It's back to my earlier point about letting people have their moments. Just get out of the way of that moment. Even if you feel like you didn't lose the bots, this he's weak, I could get him again, I'm coming back with a track. Let the moment of the forum and the video pass. Is too much to fight. You're gonna look away. Well, then Ak is saying new Drake music coming soon.
Yeah, Drake put the post up about shout out to everybody that came out to film the video, and
I don't even see nothing that Drake posts no more. It's like Ak is the mouthpiece for certain things. And even if I'm a Drake fan, as a Drake fan, I want Ak to stop announcing things about Drake. The act announcements come with a certain level of expectation, so you either meet it or don't, and then the harsh criticism coming and you're not built for that. Like, the Drake releases are much better as a surprise. Nobody knows I'm him. Here's a jam to vibe to real quick.
No, I definitely agree with this whole entire thing of like Akademiks kind of ruins the mystique when he starts announcing stuff and then it's underwhelming, right? He's setting Drake up for failure. By calling Iceman a classic before we've even heard anything above mediocre screams desperation. It screams that you're trying to change the narrative desperately by setting expectations very high. But when expectations are very high, it's hard to live up to them. And the idea of artists carrying a certain level of mystique does make a better moment for the fans once they do finally release music. Look at Kendrick with GNX. He didn't say a word. He just dropped it, right? And now everyone's talking about, oh, how is this the dot era when, you know, no one's talking about Kendrick? What is there to talk about, right? We've only been talking about accomplishments. We've been talking about the Grammy Awards, the Super Bowl, the GNX tour, the GNX album. The reason why we discuss Drake all the time nowadays is because of things like this. Because Akademiks gets on live stream acting like a fool. Drake does something that makes him look ridiculous. And we're seeing an unprecedented downfall that's just shocking coming from the biggest pop star in the world at one point in time, right? And I saw someone make this comment. I thought it was interesting. I'm gonna take credit for it, all right? You had Drake before the Kendrick beef and Drake after it.
Spicy.
Sadly, I don't think his reputation will ever be the same, and he's only making it worse by having people like Akademiks around to gas up this garbage before it even comes out. Dropping lawsuits, using Akademiks' live stream as your source, and then losing that lawsuit. And one of the biggest ones that Chigs brought up, the whole Iceman red button thing, right? Remember Iceman episode 3, how the entire OV host standum was saying that this was going to be some big red button that Drake was dropping on the game, and that the whole industry would be shaken up after Iceman episode 3? And then it came out, and it was absolutely pure trash, from the visuals to the storyline to the music itself. All of it mediocre garbage. If no one was gassing it up like it was about to destroy Kendrick Lamar and UMG, it wouldn't have received half the hate that it did. The same way that if Drake never went on and sued over Not Like Us would not have been as big of a blow to Drake's reputation as it was. And that's what I mean by not having that level of mystique is making you look more and more desperate, because you're trying to stay in the public spotlight, but every move you make just seems more and more uncalculated and more like a sad attempt at trying to get back in the good graces of the public.
Now, we saw this same thing happen when people were hyping up Iceman episode 3. People said, yo, this is the nuke right here. Whatever Drake has coming for Kendrick is going to be in this episode. So everybody was tuned in and everybody was disappointed. And you know you put out some trash content when even Kai Cenat is trashing it. And to be honest with you guys, if nobody would have said anything about Iceman episode 3, I don't think it would have been met with so many negative criticism. So DJ Akademiks definitely knows the power of expectation. Sometimes it's best to just let things come out and then you can talk about it. Especially when it comes to Drake's upcoming album, Iceman. This album is a career-defining project for Drake. So the last thing you need is unreasonable expectations. This morning, DJ Akademiks unprovoked went on Twitter to say, yo, guys, I just got the word, Iceman finna be a classic. Holy.
So it didn't just stop with this tweet, right? And I'm telling you, this is like damage control over the lawsuit. The lawsuit comes out, Drake loses it, the public clowns him even further. So now he's got to have his little minions, his little mouthpiece minions, like Big Macus and Akademiks, come out and try to rebuild the hype for Iceman. Everything keeps getting destroyed and then rebuilt. If you guys notice, there's been a little pattern here. Drake loses the rap battle. He opens up this fake Instagram account, Plot Twist, where he's posting things like, we will win game 2, already implanting in people's mind that some big red button will be coming in the future. So they expect, a comeback in the making. Then we get those 100 gig songs. Those didn't really go the way he may have thought, right? He put them onto streaming platforms. They didn't do so well. Meanwhile, Kendrick is announcing that he's going to be at the Super Bowl. He gets nominated for all these Grammys. So around the same time, Drake announces he'll be leaving America to go do an overseas tour, and simultaneously on the week that Kendrick performs at the Super Bowl, he'll be dropping an album with Party Next Door. He drops the lawsuit. Everyone hates him for it. He comes back with the big red button of Iceman, right? This is supposed to tell the story through these mysterious different Pinocchio costumes and subtle imagery of how Drake is truly beating the corporations and exposing them for the bots and the malpractices going on behind the scenes. The Iceman rollout doesn't do what he thought it would do. The The lawsuit doesn't do what he thought it would do. That definitely didn't. And now he's back here with his minion, trying to paint the narrative in people's minds that Iceman is coming and it's going to be a classic. So this is what DJ Akademiks had to say about that.
Oh, by the way, I just got word. Just got official word, man. Yo, Iceman shaping up to be a classic, man. Shaping up, bro. It's all good. It's all good, man. Iceman shaping up to be a goddamn classic, man. It's all good. Don't count my boy out. You know what I mean? Every time, you know what I mean, he hits y'all with a counter punch. He have a good round. Give y'all a couple good songs. Jab, jab, cross hook. Y'all try to, you know what I mean? Y'all try to come back with some, oh, he lost the lawsuit. It's over. Man, get out of here, nigga. The hell? How the hell nigga career gonna be over a lawsuit? Stop it, nigga. Iceman finna be a classic. I'm telling you, it's shaping up. The boy off tour, locked in. Holy. What a time. What a time. What a time, people. It's coming soon.
And you see why I mean this is a calculated attempt at trying to distract the public from the lawsuit. He literally mentions it in this video. He says, oh, you guys think Drake is done because he lost a lawsuit? No, everyone's gonna love Iceman. It's gonna be a classic. Like, it has to be attached to the fact that he lost the lawsuit to say, no, it doesn't matter. Drake is not falling off. He will come back with this Iceman album. It's going to be classic. You're already off the rip gassing up something that everyone has been so far calling trash. Everything we've heard from Iceman, people have been saying is trash. And you're setting the expectation sky high. He did the same thing with For All the Dogs, saying this was going to be a classic. It came out, even Akademiks himself admitted that it didn't meet his standards. He's doing the same thing here. And Chigs brings up an interesting point. What if this is all a big troll, right? We've seen Drake constantly disrespect Akademiks. He's lied to Akademiks, feeds him misinformation, and then Akademiks thinks it's exclusive info, so he comes out and reports it, and then it comes out that it was a lie, so it makes Akademiks look like a liar, makes him look uncredible. We've seen him bail on live streams or phone calls he was supposed to do with Akademiks. Maybe Akademiks is purposely trying to set the bar so high to a level Drake can't reach. A, because he's a fan and wants great Drake music, but B, maybe he's unintentionally trying to set Drake up. I don't think he's purposely trying to, you know, make the public think this is going to be a classic only for it to come out and be terrible and then Drake looks bad. But the same way he did with the actual battle itself, the way he was reacting like a little schoolgirl to push-ups and Family Matters like it was the best thing in the world, counting down the days before Kendrick would respond. And then when he finally did, it was just like, what was all that for, right? Like, you built all this anticipation to make the world think Drake was this untouchable monster in the game, and then the second Kendrick Lamar pops out, you're now singing all of Kendrick's music in your live streams. Not like us in Euphoria, we're exposed to be the most listened to songs on your Spotify in 2024. But meanwhile, before Kendrick drops the diss track, you're acting like Drake is dropping bombs and Kendrick is too weak to respond, right? You're doing the same thing here with this Iceman album. And you gotta think, is there an ulterior motive here where maybe Akademiks is sick of the false information Drake has been giving him, is sick of the mediocre music, is sick of the mistreatment, the fact that Drake goes on Aiden Ross's live stream or XQC but doesn't hop on a live stream with his biggest fan, Akademiks, right? Maybe this is a disgruntled fan trying to get his revenge.
You absolutely cannot label something a classic when we've heard 3 songs and none of them were good. The same thing was said about the last album, Some Sexy Songs for You, and we all know how that one turned out. If Drake did not play the album for you, you absolutely cannot and should not say it's a classic. Akademiks has to be intentionally trolling Drake at this point. Hey, if you're not going to come on my stream, if you're not going to show me love, if you're going to constantly play me in front of everybody, then you know what? I'm gonna step on your rollout and make you have to react and put out some fire. Let's see if this Iceman album is going to be a classic once it drops. Do you guys think Akademiks is once again overhyping the Drake album? Or is this going to actually help Drake and make people anticipate the records on it?
So now we have another interesting thing to look at, and this is where the rabbit hole kind of gets muddy, all right? Like we said before, Akademiks is Drake's biggest fan and has also become his mouthpiece, but as a result, it's made Drake look really bad. over especially the last year. So aside from what we covered, like the fact that Akademiks was overreacting to every Drake diss song, counting down the days before Kendrick would drop, building this anticipation that Drake was untouchable, only for Kendrick to shatter him with his diss tracks, and Akademiks just made the blow look even worse because of how much hyping up he was doing. Aside from Akademiks doing the same exact thing right now with this whole Iceman thing, calling it a classic when all the music we've heard has been mediocre, he's made Drake look like a fool for many other reasons over the last few years, and it may be coming back to bite both him and Drake. The one thing he's been doing is he has been puppeteering the crash out of Drake's little other minion, Top 5. If you guys don't know Top 5, check out my page. I have plenty of videos on Top 5 and the buffoonery that has been going on ever since Top 5 has been released from prison after Drake paid his lawyer fees when he was fighting an unaliving charge, a murder charge. I think I could say that on YouTube. And ever since Top 5 came out, he has been on Akademiks' live streams constantly, where Akademiks is egging him on to crash out on Kendrick Lamar. Before Kendrick performed in Toronto, Akademiks was asking him all these questions like, oh, I hear Kendrick is gonna come to New Ho King, he's gonna go to the CN Tower, he's gonna be walking around the free man in Toronto. What are you gonna do about that? I thought you're the biggest gang leader in Toronto. What are you gonna do if Kendrick comes to your city and disrespects Drake? Of course, antagonizing, which prompted Top 5 to say that Kendrick better not come around without security, he's gonna unalive him, whatever he wants him unalived, allegedly. This led to Top 5 actually going to the hotel that Kendrick was allegedly staying at when he was in Toronto to try and find him. There was also this kid by the name of Julian who had gotten a little beef with Top 5, and this was all orchestrated on Akademiks' live stream.
Yo, Julian, let me ask you a question.
You know how I get. You know how I get.
No, hold on. Julian, a lot of people are scared of Top 5. He's a demon out here. Like, I'm trying to give him a chance to apologize still, you know?
He gave you like 200K, right?
Oh, he gave you 200K?
Oh,
okay.
50.
On that live stream, Julian had accused Top 5 and Drake of scamming them on some crypto stuff for like $2 million. He played alleged voice notes of Drake on Akademiks' live stream to try and prove that he wasn't lying about actually being in communication with Drake, and him and Top 5 are just yelling at each other on the live stream. But while hosting this clown show, Akademiks had basically exposed Drake, if this kid is not lying about those voice notes, if they're not AI, that Drake was literally trying to basically set him up for a scam. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole on this video. Just search up Julian, Top 5, Drake, Akademiks. You'll find what you're looking for online. My point is that while Akademiks is trying to be Drake's mouthpiece, hosting his little minion Top 5 on his live streams, painting these different narratives, he makes Drake look a lot worse in the process. Now, what's been even worse than that is his other minion, Grand Wizard Chat Guy. That's really this guy's name. This is someone who works for Akademiks. He allegedly manages the Akademiks TV Twitter page. If you guys have not seen the Akademiks TV Twitter page, consider yourself lucky. It is like Kanye level in terms of the disrespect, the vulgarity, the disgusting savagery they post on this page, especially when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, SZA, who Akademiks previously had a little issue with, Doechii, Absol, anyone from TDE. Basically, again, to try and make Drake look good, to create some good press for Drake. Now, I'll show you guys a couple of these tweets, but this is not the half of it, right? Like, go through that Twitter page, you'll see some very disgusting things, again, all to make Drake look like the good guy, essentially. You had stuff like this tweet: for the HOES crying about Drake demanding to see Kendrick's history of alleged domestic violence against Whitney in his lawsuit. Drake is also offering discovery from 2009 to 2025 of any documentation that UMG has related to his criminal history, including background checks and reports. That's because, of course, when the lawsuit was going on, Drake was requesting all this crazy stuff from UMG. So they're trying to defend it here, and they say he was called a snitch, a PDF, accused of fathering a secret daughter, and being a registered S offender. These documents will prove he is none of those things. Can Kendrick say the same? Trying to essentially imply that Kendrick was an abuser, right? And this just scratches the surface of how savage some of these tweets really get. This will play an important role very shortly. But here's another tweet. You know, they're just trying to defame Kendrick. This is not like a news channel, you know, this is just, they're just basically pushing propaganda that makes Drake look good. They said stuff like Kendrick has lost 1 billion streams while Drake's numbers stayed the same. Now, this account actually got so vulgar and offensive towards members of TDE like SZA, to the point where Anthony Soleil allegedly had told Akademiks that he had sent private investigators to find out who was actually behind running this Twitter page. You know why? Because they thought Drake was paying to have these narratives pushed. And Punch from TDE had implied this as well. He tweeted at Akademiks saying, "You know who homeboy is," implying that it was Drake, and Akademiks replied saying, "I love this. Let's clarify and set the record straight. Drake never wrote a caption on my page. I have a team that does it. Yes, they're all like me. They're heavy Drake fans, I'm not gonna lie." And at the time, this account was disrespecting SZA, so Akademiks clarifies that basically with SZA, Drake was the one who personally called me and asked me to cool it on her and walk back the nasty things that I was saying, because she was crying for 2 days in the studio while Drake was trying to get her to record Slime You Out and Rich Baby Daddy, the songs for his album. I told Dave Free the exact same thing, and I said if Drake hasn't hit us about anything that was posted, it must be because he doesn't care about SZA at this point, because he does communicate with my people. You need any more clarification, sir? So basically, Akademiks is implying that Drake does communicate with these people. He doesn't actually run the page, he doesn't pay them to post anything, but he does communicate with Akademiks' people. And we know that for certain because the guy who runs the Akademiks TV page, Grand Wizard Chat Guy, his Instagram had got hacked and a bunch of DMs between him and Drake had actually leaked online. I've covered that in previous videos, but again, all this stuff, like Drake even associating with these people, has not made him look good, because when these DMs did end up leaking, I mean, they just made Drake look more like a sore loser. They were talking about LeBron dancing to Not Like Us. They were talking about rumors of a Not Like Us music video. Drake was saying, where did you get that source? Like, he was really trying to question this Grand Wizard guy to understand, like, you know, how can we basically be ahead of the curve in terms of what Kendrick is doing on this victory lap? And you saw that in all these leaked messages. So you know that Drake is okay with and actually speaks to the people running this disgusting page. He's okay with this propaganda, but it's gonna come back to bite him, as everything does in terms of Akademiks being his minion. It all comes back to bite him. How might it bite him, you might ask? Well, on a side note, they also really don't like, over at the Akademiks hub, they don't like Megan Thee Stallion and Rock Nation, all right? They post a lot of hate pieces about Megan Thee Stallion on their page. They love Tory Lanez. They say he's innocent, Megan is a liar, whatever, everything's alleged, okay? So, because of how much hate they've spread towards Megan Thee Stallion, it actually ended up leading Akademiks to be forced into a deposition with lawyers representing Megan Thee Stallion when she was suing another blogger by the name of Milagro, who was posting a lot of rumors, I guess, about Megan lying about Tory Lanez, essentially. And because of that, because she was suing that blogger, Akademiks somehow got roped into a deposition because of all the nasty things he's been saying about Megan Thee Stallion, where they questioned him on a bunch of things. He actually recorded the whole deposition. They were asking him what his association with Drake and Nicki Minaj is, if Drake pays him for posts, like people from Kendrick's camp had also been curious about. And the entire thing centered around, is Akademiks being paid to push certain propaganda for people that he likes, aka Drake and Tory Lanez. We know that Drake and Tory Lanez, they had their issues. However, Drake has also been pretty vocal about Tory Lanez being innocent, or at least him wanting Tory Lanez being free. On his 2022 song, 3 years ago, Circo Loco, he had a bar in there that said, "This girl lies about getting shots, but she's still a stallion," in relation to, of course, Megan Thee Stallion getting shot by Tory Lanez, but also being a double entendre in relation to a woman getting butt shots. But it is an implication that Drake at least believes Megan was lying about getting shots, right? She's still a stallion. We also know that Drake had commented on a random Instagram post where Rob Markman was interviewing Tory Lanez. He said Rob Markman's a goof, but free Tory Lanez. He's made a bunch of free Tory posts, right? He's very vocal of the fact that he wants his buddy free. And on a side note, it's crazy and really sad to think about, like, a lot of these artists who were poised to be massive artists of this generation, from Tory Lanez to Lil Durk, to then King Von, Young Dolph, Juice WRLD, XXX, Takeoff, Mac Miller. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys ended up either facing incarceration or actually passing away. And I do feel like it's left a void within hip-hop music for sure. A lot of the people that were destined to be the next up didn't necessarily have a fair shot of doing so. That's a topic for another day though, because remember everything I've told you, right? Akademiks, Drake, they don't like Megan Thee Stallion, they like Tory Lanez. Akademiks had to be deposed by Megan's team, and it all roots back to that nasty Akademiks TV Twitter page that posts a bunch of disgusting pieces about TDE members, about Kendrick Lamar, and about Megan Thee Stallion. Now, where this can lead to a very bad road for Drake is his association with that Akademiks TV guy. Again, he has direct communication with that guy. Leaked messages came out online of someone who hacked that guy's Instagram account showing that he's been conversing with Drake for years at this point. And it was actually Drake who paid the hacker to get the account back. Now, there is a private investigator, at least this is what Akademiks is saying, who has been camping out of that Grand Wizard guy who manages the Akademiks TV Twitter page. They're camping out outside his house and actually called him and were surrounding him and basically tried to speak to him to get information. And for what? Akademiks doesn't know. He doesn't know if this is an investigator representing Megan Thee Stallion, Rock Nation, TDE, who is trying to take down the Akademiks TV. They don't know who this private investigator is, but they're getting close to actually getting the information they need, and they're exposing a lot of stuff in the process. So Akademiks played the entire phone call that the Grand Wizard guy had on his live stream, and first starts off by emphasizing that, yes, indeed, there is an investigator surrounding this guy's old house.
They've been camping out for 4 days. They're there right now. They're camping out at his neighbor's crib that's right next to his old crib. So his old house, the next door joint, they're camping out at. Now you're probably saying, what you're saying is bananas. And trust me, chat, this is what I'm dealing with, because these Rock Nation motherfuckers and these other unscrupulous individuals, they are playing a very nasty game.
And Akademiks emphasizes, like, this got serious, all right? Like, they're surrounding his house. They're offering him food, something to do with Drake and Rock Nation. There's mysterious ties, or they're trying to take Drake down, something. We're going to get to that. We're going to understand it. But Akademiks is worried. All right, guys, check this out.
Sat outside, somehow got phone numbers, texted, saying, hey, we're not leaving outside until we see you. We want to speak to you. By the way, also, I need to know what Rock Nation got with Drake. What they got going on? They were so unwilling to leave. They went and got food for this motherfucker. I never dox my guy, but just say this is in a faraway land. For you to get a private investigator out here, you took a spaceship.
And Akademiks emphasizes, after all this mouthpiecing he's done for La Brianna, this is not the Akademiks Rico. This is not the Akademiks takedown. This is an attempted takedown at Drake. They're trying to dig up information from Akademiks' team on what they know behind Drake and the mysterious things he's been doing. We're going to touch on that. But they've been digging. They've been grilling, all right?
This is the Akademiks media empire Rico, except it's bigger than that. No, this is the Drake Rico, because I've listened to this before. They don't want me. They want Drake. Listen to this.
So Akademiks plays the phone call between the private investigator and Grand Wizard. And basically Grand Wizard, he's a guy in Australia. You can look him up. His picture's been exposed, but he has an Australian accent. You'll see it slips out a couple times in the phone call, but he uses this AI voice changer. So it just sounds like some random American accent, all right? And Akademiks is already jumping ship. He's already acting like he doesn't know who this guy is. He wants nothing to do with him. He's completely disassociating with this guy.
Who's the wizard then? I'm obviously the wizard here.
To be fair, I don't know who Grand Wizard is. I want to put that on the record. My boy, but he might be AI.
So this is where it gets crazy, guys, and you guys are going to love this, all right? So the private investigator who's questioning this Grand Wizard guy, all right, she says that she knows for 100% certain that Drake bots his music, and she wants to know what Grand Wizard knows about that. Because remember, again, Akademiks had that guy on the stream who was claiming that he was botting music for Kendrick Lamar. TDE was asking Akademiks if Drake is actually the one paying them for all the nasty promotion they do on their Twitter pages, right? We know that when Grand Wizard's account, his Instagram account, got hacked, Drake was the one who had the connects to get it back. And now this private investigator is turning on the Grand Wizard guy to say, I want to know what you know about Drake using bots, because I know 100% for certain Drake is out here botting his music, all right? Deploying the K-bots onto his mediocre trash. And they're looking for info, right? They're looking to see, because obviously at this point, these Akademiks guys, all these little minions, they have become infiltrated in Drake's operation. And this investigator is looking into whatever they have on Drake for whatever reason. We're going to try to unpack that as much as we could. But she says 100% they know, based off the investigations they've done, that Drake has used bots. After all the Kendrick accusations he's made, they're claiming that Drake 100% himself uses bots on his music.
So you're accusing... So Drake bots his music. That's what you're trying to say. Allegedly. You're 100% sure.
Yo, Rock Nation, what y'all got going on, man? Rock Nation, Meg Thee Stallion. How Drake telling y'all other niggas bot? Y'all trying to get at Drake because y'all think he bot? Come on, man.
So Akademiks doesn't understand what this person is exactly trying to investigate, especially with his team, right? But after all the horrible things they've said about Megan Thee Stallion and all the promotion they've done for Drake and all the horrible things they've said about TDE in, retaliation of trying to defend Drake, it seems like Akademiks is somehow tied business-wise to Drake. And the investigator obviously wants to know why. Akademiks has said that he's done his research on this investigator. She is in fact real and was actually some sort of cyber security investigator, right? So obviously that deals in digital manipulation, right? Fake streams could fall under that category, which is what she's saying she knows 100% for certain Drake uses. Akademiks is confused. Is this some sort of botting investigation? Is that what you're trying to find? Are you trying to find out, if we're the one deploying these illegal fake streams onto Drake's music? Grand Wizard goes on to ask her, why would the biggest artist in the world need fake streams? Well, hey, how do you think he became the biggest artist in the world? The bots, all right, the bots. The investigator also goes on to ask about Stake, which Drake has a partnership in, right? If you guys didn't know, that's the gambling company that Drake has been doing a bunch of live streams where he gambles on, promotes it to the youth. Very disgusting thing to be promoting to everybody, but yeah, that's what Drake promotes, all right, to get the check. Anything for the bag, right? So Drake has been doing that. He's been allegedly using the bots. According to this investigator, she's trying to figure out what Akademiks and his little minion know about that. And that's what you get when you're trying to make yourself seem like the mouthpiece for this man. You now have private investigators surrounding your little minion's home, questioning him, calling him, and Drake is going down with them just because of the association here.
So why are you certain? The evidence shows that. But why does the biggest artist in the world need to bot his music if he's the biggest artist in the world? You said what?
I know the investigator's name. I looked up their credentials. Again, I don't want to dox them because I don't want none of y'all harassing them. Apparently, they worked in cyber frauds, money laundering frauds, all type of fraud. I don't know if they're investigating botting or what. I don't know what they're investigating.
And this investigator makes it very clear that she believes there is a connection between Drake and this Grand Wizard guy and Akademiks, right? That they're all in cahoots with one another, deploying some very sketchy things, to say the least. And based off her line of questioning, it's in relation to Stake, it's in relation to the bots, which she says she knows 100% for certain Drake has been using.
How my name get up in the mix, shorty?
No, I'm asking if they pay you to do the work that you do.
What work do I do?
On behalf of Akademiks, on behalf of Drake, do they pay you to do the work that you do?
At some point, we gotta say, like, this whole, like, Meg Thee Stallion, Rock Nation, like, they're losing it.
So the Grand Wizard goes on to say that these are all Kendrick Lamar allegations, right? The whole botting allegations that this woman is making, it's related to Kendrick Lamar, right? Because of course Drake was accusing Kendrick of using the bots, so now she's trying to flip it to say no, Drake is the one using the bots. She's emphasizing she knows nothing about Kendrick Lamar. She is a hired investigator, a cyber investigator. It's her job to know that Drake is using bots.
Because this is a very harsh allegation. This is a man's craft here you're talking about. He's perfected his craft over his tenure of his huge music career, and you're trying to diminish it with some Kendrick Lamar allegations?
I don't know any Kendrick Lamar allegations. What I know is data. I'm an investigator, so I know data.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, if they have the power to camp outside his home, to know where this guy lives, to get his phone number, to get all this information, I mean, I would assume that the information she has on the Drake having bot stuff is probably at least backed up by some real evidence, right? It seems like this is a private investigator for a reason. She knows how to investigate, and it'd be pretty big to know that, Drake is in fact using bots if he's the one suing over the fact that Kendrick was using bots. And you see how these things all come full circle to bite Drake in the butt. Like with the lawsuit, he thought he was going to expose Kendrick Lamar. He got exposed by Lucian Grange, who wrote a letter to the judge saying they own a large portion of Drake's contracts. In push-ups, Drake was talking about, pull your contracts out, Kendrick Lamar. I know you're getting ripped off by TDE. In the end, the only person that was getting ripped off was Drake, and it ended up only coming to light by the lawsuit he filed when Lucian Grange had exposed to the judge that they own a large portion of his music. And now he's getting exposed for using bots because he's used Akademiks as a mouthpiece for so long and spewed out so much disgusting propaganda on this Akademiks TV page. I'm not saying that Drake was the one doing it, but he was in communication with these guys and allowed these guys to push out news and push out exclusive info for him. And as a result, he's now having this private investigator on his case looking into what bots he's using, what other manipulative tactics he's using to build himself up and tear down these other artists in the process. So now, as far as who these people can be and what they exactly want, these private investigators, there's a couple different things and a couple different theories that Akademik has, all right? So he thinks it's either A, UMG and Kendrick Lamar, who, again, this all came out before the lawsuit actually got dismissed by the judge. Akademik is thinking that, maybe Kendrick and UMG are trying to gather information from a private investigator for a counter lawsuit of their own, where they will prove that not only Drake has used bots, but he's also paid these different social media platforms to push bad things about different artists and sway public opinion back in his favor. Because again, Drake was suing over defamation. He felt like social media was talking about him in a bad way. He literally mentioned that in his lawsuit, put actual posts from social media in his lawsuit. And the judge specifically said, you can't just put a bunch of nasty social media comments from random users and think that that's cause for defamation. Kendrick Lamar was just speaking his opinion. The social media users then just ran with it, right? But Akademik is basically saying, like, remember when he went to the GNX concert, Anthony Saleh told him they hired a private investigator to find out who the Grand Wizard chat guy was, to see why he's running Akademik's TV, to see what his connection is with Drake, and if Drake is paying them to post this stuff. That is the downfall. That is the con to using these guys as your mouthpiece. Now the world thinks that you're paying them for promotion and they're only making you look worse, and now getting you involved in these crazy investigations. Now, if it wasn't Kendrick Lamar and UMG trying to dig up info on Akademik and Drake, it could have also been Roc Nation, Megan Thee Stallion. Again, remember the connection, right? Akademik was deposed by Megan's lawyers because of the things that he said online. They asked him what his connection was to Drake, if Drake pays him to post things. Maybe Drake is out here paying for propaganda against Megan Thee Stallion in defense of his boy Tory Lanez, or to make Jay-Z look bad for whatever issues he has there with him. And if this is Roc Nation who hired this private investigator to speak with Grand Wizard guy, maybe that's what they're trying to dig up, right? Exactly what Drake's connection is with these people, how corrupt they're being, how much Drake is paying them to spew out how much propaganda, essentially.
So it's either one or two people. It's either Kendrick / UMG, who are trying to do their counter intel on Drake, or this is Roc Nation. Why would I say it's Roc Nation? Because while trying to pursue this Tory, whatever, but we want to get at Drake, Nicki, act thing, they have gone deeper down a rabbit hole to think that there is a cabal with how Clippers are making some of their artists and their propaganda look. They think Drake is putting money behind it to make them look stupid. The other part is UMG / the TDE. Remember I told you when I met with Anthony Sella, when I went to Kendrick's show, he said he put a PI on Grant.
So the only thing I could really say here is that the closer Drake gets to Akademik, the more trouble he sees himself getting into, whether it's via public perception or private stuff like this investigator pulling up to Akademik's Minion's house and saying all these crazy things about Drake using bots, right? Everything that Akademik has done attached to Drake's name has made Drake look worse. There were other leaked DMs between Chris Blake Griffith and Drake, where Drake was defending the lawsuit, saying that it's the equivalent of Nike making a campaign about LeBron cheating on his wife. That's what UMG making a campaign out of Not Like Us was, and that he was trying to make this place a safer space for artists in the future. Those were leaked DM messages between Chris Blake Griffith and Drake. Drake had told Akademik that those DMs were fake. Akademik reports that they're fake to the world. They end up getting exposed as true, and then Akademik again loses journalistic integrity because he is exposed as a liar, getting false information from Drake. It's either that he's spewing fake info for Drake, propaganda, or Drake is just lying to him, right? And it turned out Drake lied to him. So what did Akademik do? He ended up getting that Chris Blake Griffith guy on his live stream, and that guy, that Chris guy, exposed everything about Drake. So again, Drake feeding Akademik this information only makes Drake look worse. It only comes back to bite him in the butt. We saw it also with the Julian thing, the whole top 5 situation that we discussed earlier. We saw it with the whole streaming bot allegation thing that Akademik had on his live stream that Drake then used as a credible source in his lawsuit that ended up getting thrown out because there was no credible sources in it. Then after Drake has built this relationship with this Grand Wizard guy, we're now seeing private investigators outside his house who are now exposing Drake for allegedly using bots on his own music, the very same thing he was suing Kendrick for. And now Akademik again is at the root of what might cause Drake some problems, because after all the pressure is on Drake to deliver with this Iceman album, and he's been dropping mediocre track after mediocre garbage Iceman live streams, Akademik is out here raising the bar higher than ever by proclaiming to the world that this is going to be a classic album, even though years ago he said Drake has no classics. So you tell me, is Akademiks working for Drake? Is Drake paying Akademiks off to say these things, to try and make him look good, to soften the blow? Or is giving Akademiks any information just sabotaging Drake even further? Because if he's not setting super high expectations for the music Drake is about to release, he's getting Drake entangled in these very weird cases, from the Julian and Top 5 scamming situation to the private investigator Grand Wizard botting situation, to the Chris Blake Griffith LeBron cheating on his wife fake DM situation. It seems like throughout this entire situation, Akademiks has only made Drake look like he's spiraling even further. So let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one.